All right, so I just got done watching James Gallagher's interview on Ariel Hawani's Hour, on his MMA Hour. One, I was shocked to see him on the show. I was incredibly shocked. I tried to watch the actual MMA Hour, like the one with Luke Thomas. I tried to watch that on like just kind of let it play in my earphones while I was at work, but I just couldn't even do it. It was just, ugh. I feel like these shows are just being watered down because of the split, the ESPN, I like Ariel, but the show still needs to kind of catch a little steam. And then it's like, I like the MMA Hour, but then Luke Thomas is still trying to catch a little bit of steam, but I don't know. Anyways, that was a sidebar though. I ended up watching the James Gallagher interview when I got home, and it was a good interview. Good interview with the kid, man. He told us over and over and over how he's only 21. He's only 21, and he's got amazing things to come up next, and blah 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 blah. Great. It sounds like he's taking it on the chin. No pun intended. No pun intended. It sounds like he's taking it on the chin. He's taking it quite well. He's going out to the MMA, the video music MTV awards or whatever. So Bellator's still behind him. Everybody's got plans for him. I'm sure Bellator was pissed that he lost, man. I bet they wanted him to win and then go to the MMA award. I mean, the VMA awards. And just kind of have that be like another bit of advertisement for the guy. But what he continued to say is that nothing's going to humble him. Ugh. He said nothing's going to humble him. And we all told him. Now, I understand he said there were people saying that they wish that he had stayed in a coma and yada, yada, like just really ugly messages. And, none of that is ever supported. None of that is ever warranted. All of that stuff is goofy, and it's just some simple-headed ass people who leave those type of messages. But what I will say is he should have ate that humble pie. It was all sliced up. It was warmed up for him. Take the humble pie, man. I'm telling you, there's certain things about, he's 21 years old. There's a life lesson. There really is a life lesson. I understand he's trying to be Conor McGregor, or he's trying to be better than Conor McGregor is what it sounds like, because he's definitely starting on a bigger platform than Conor McGregor did at the age of 21. But he's, he wants to be better than Conor McGregor, but he might end up being more like Joanna Jędrzejczyk, a great fighter who just lost it. She's lost in delusional land. And Conor McGregor, a great fighter who gets it. He kind of gets it. It's not that he doesn't even say he's the best. He says he's the one who brings the most money to the UFC, which is true. And he says nobody's going to beat him in the octagon, which he's been pretty close to that. He actually has been pretty close to that. Nate Diaz soured his whole story, but he's been pretty close to that, and a lot of people have tried, just put it this way. Conor McGregor went through a lot of stiff competition. He really did. He went through a lot of stiff competition. Only now do we realize that competition was stiff. The Holloway, the Poirier, the Mendez, the Aldo. He ran through them. Anyways, about the young guy, James Gallagher, what I'll say about him is I am looking forward to seeing him back in the cage. Now, he dropped a little nugget. I don't care. To be honest, I'm over all of this bravado and cockiness. It's so exhausting and tiring to always hear. So it was kind of refreshing to just hear him say, look, he was gutted, man. He was absolutely gutted and heartbroken by the loss. But he just explained it like a fighter. He said, look, he said the 1-2 is what knocked him out. Actually, the two that came through the guard. He said that was what took him out, and he wasn't there. He said nobody was home. He said he literally was out on his feet at that moment. So he didn't feel the kick, even though I think in some ways it's kind of like, okay, you didn't feel the kick. But he said he didn't feel the kick, and he said he didn't feel those punches afterwards. But, he explained the fight. He explained it really well, in my opinion. And then he also dropped a nugget. Man, he dropped a nugget. He said that he will be back in December on that Bellator card, the Bellator Dublin card. He will be back on that card. Now, for me, I thought, nothing's interesting about that to me anymore. Nothing is interesting about that to me anymore. But he did make it very interesting when he said that he asked for the immediate rematch against Bandejas. The immediate rematch against Bandejas. That's interesting. That is interesting. The way that that guy went out there and just laid him out, the way that Bandejas went out there and just laid out James Gallagher. In a way, I would love to see the immediate rematch. In a way, I kind of think that they should let it simmer, man. Let Bandejas have another fight in the cage, another couple of fights. That was his debut. That was his debut, and now he's going to go to somebody's home country where he's going to go to somebody's home country where they have all the fan support behind them, and then he's going to go and fight. It's something about that is a little bit off-putting. It's a little bit off-putting. I wish that they would have the fight in San Diego where they're kind of on a little bit more of an even playing field, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. I don't know about December, but an immediate rematch. If James Gallagher wants to make this a grudge match, then Ricky Bandejas just hit the lottery because he already beat the guy. He already beat him in spectacular fashion. I understand James Gallagher basically said the reason why he lost is because he went in there looking for a scrap. Instead of being technical, instead of taking it to the ground where he can swim, instead of doing those things, being a mixed martial artist, he said he was a street brawler. He went in there looking for a brawl and he got sat on his ass. That's what he said, I don't know about that. I don't know about any of that. He said that he didn't want to make any excuses. It wasn't the weight cut. It wasn't the weight cut, and it also wasn't the drastic weight cut to 135. He said he's staying at 135 because he's young. He said he's 21 years old, and he's going to stay at 135 until he gets too old where he can't make it anymore, like, once when he gets to be 25 years old or so or whatever. The guy is incredibly small, though. When I just look, I'm like, oh, my gosh, this guy is tiny. He's a tiny dude. So I can see him making 135 for a couple of, maybe a couple more fights. But I did think the featherweight was probably healthier for him. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. He knows his body, and his coaches know his body more than I do. So, but what I can say is he did not want to make any excuses. But he did say, I went in there looking for a brawl. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I think that Ricky Bandejas, feel like he overlooked Ricky Bandejas. He thought that he was going to walk through that guy, and he didn't know the type of heat that guy was bringing in his own fight game. Ricky is 10-1. I believe he's 11-1 now. Young man Gallagher is 7-1 now. He's 7-1 now. Ricky just had far more experience than him. So if he wants to make it a grudge match, go ahead and do it. I'd love to see it. Bellator needs it. I do think that this guy is incredibly cocky, but I think he's humble enough for Bellator to build a star out of him, like a real star. Like everybody knows him. Like when I say Conor McGregor to a coworker, they'll say, "Oh yeah, that guy who fought Floyd Mayweather." If I say James Gallagher to a coworker, they'll be like, "Well, who is that? Is that the guy that works on the 6th floor?" That's what they'll say. Is that dude who works on the 6th floor? They won't know who he is. So I think that Bellator can continue to put money behind this guy and really push him, turn him into a hype train or whatever you want to call it. What is a hype train anyways? I want to know, do we like hype trains or do we not like hype trains? I keep seeing this word bouncing around. Anyways, if it's a hype train that they're looking for, that Bellator is looking for, they need to go with this guy right here. He doesn't seem like the type of guy who's going to shit on the company the way that Conor does. Conor shits on the UFC, and it's made the UFC look stupid in his absence, in Conor's absence. This young man, James Gallagher, he doesn't crap on the UFC. He doesn't. Neither, but that other guy, the BJJ guy who came in, seems like he kind of wants to crap on Bellator. Dylan Danis. Yeah, so this young guy, there is a humility, there is a bit of, he is a humble guy. He is kind of a humble dude to where you can kind of put a little bit of, I can see him holding star power pretty well. He's a small guy, though. He's a teeny tiny little guy, but I can see him holding star power pretty well. I really can. Anyways, I hope that he gets back in the octagon, and I hope he gets back in the cage and is able to perform. That's the only thing I can say, because he did not eat humble pie. He's saying he wants to rematch, and he was the better guy that night, but I was brawling. What if I give you technique? I know I'll beat him the next time. Dude, you were just knocked out not even 24 hours ago. Dang, dude, you were just knocked out. Maybe a little over 30 hours ago, you were KO'd. You were seeing black. Everything was black. You were on your ass. We were all looking at you like, when's he going to get up? When's he going to get up? So I think that he needs to humble himself. You know, he thinks, no, I wasn't raised to be humble. It's not about that. It's not about, you know, being humble doesn't make you weak. Being humble makes you smart. You know what they say? Those who humble themselves shall be exalted. Those who exalt themselves shall be humbled. We'll see which way he goes. Anyways, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.